Safe. To make explaining these classes easier, we'll be using my ragdoll, Kane, in every scenario. Safe class SCPs are abominations that are considered easy and safe to contain, even though they may still pose a level of danger. Yes, classes measure how difficult it is to contain something, and it does not imply that these entities are harmless. For example, if we place our testing dummy into a containment chamber, and he just stays there, not doing anything, nor being unable to escape at all, to the point we can just not monitor him, that would classify him as a safe class entity. Even if someone were to touch him, the world would explode. The fact that he can be restrained in a chamber without incident is what allows him to be designated as safe class. Though most safe class entities are objects or areas, these bad boys are usually marked safe because the Foundation has researched them thoroughly enough to understand their properties and behaviors, allowing them to implement effective containment protocols to prevent them from trying to screw off. Since I like having my tier list, I'll rank them on how difficult it is to contain these classes. Euclid. Euclid class SCPs are mostly living anomalies that require significant resources for their containment, and their containment is often not wholly reliable. Instead of remaining calmly in their designated chambers, these entities frequently attempt to escape or breach containment. This behavior is primarily due to the fact that many SCPs within this class are not fully understood and tend to be inherently unpredictable. The Euclid class is the most common among all SCP classifications, with popular examples being SCP-173 and SCP-096. Typically, creatures are categorized as Euclid because they possess sentience, which contributes to their unpredictable behavior and makes them more difficult to manage like a wild dog. However, there are some peculiar exceptions to this classification, such as a literal flesh living room or even a literal potato. Keter. Keter class SCPs are, you guessed it, anomalies which are just a pain in the ass to contain without it escaping. So, instead of Kane trying to escape actively, he types in a command and teleports 500 blocks away. Keter class SCPs have containment procedures that are often extensive and complex. This is because the Foundation can't contain them correctly, as they still don't fully understand it, or don't yet have the technology to do so. Old Sludge Guy can no-clip through walls. A stupid spore lizard that refuses to die and adapts to everything is very cool. Also, to preface this again, not every Keter class SCP is dangerous. Some SCPs are peaceful, but just are extremely hard to contain. These three are the most commonly used classes in the SCP mythos. Every other class is much less used. Thaumiel. The SCP class Thaumiel is one that cannot technically be contained, because its purpose is to contain other SCPs. Whilst the main three classes, Safe, Euclid, and Keter classes, inform how effectively an SCP can be contained, Thaumiel informs how this cretin can help in containing other anomalies. There's no chamber because it is the chamber. So instead of putting Kanan into a chamber, he is the chamber, and inside of him is another SCP. Examples include SCP-2000, a massive subterranean facility. Because this class is just a location, or technically a facility, the existence of them is highly classified at the highest levels of the Foundation, and their areas and roles are known only to a few Foundation personnel, excluding, obviously, the O5 Council. So, yeah, kids, if Humphrey from the hit game Omori was an SCP, he would be Thaumiel class. Explained. G. Wonder what this one will be. Explained SCPs are those that are now completely and thoroughly understood, meaning their spooky, scary effects and behaviors can be explained by public mainstream science. Therefore, there's no reason to hide them from the public anymore. Due to this, they cannot be anomalies, because we now understand them. Whatever class they had before then is removed. So instead of being in a chamber, Kane is just kicked out of the facility to be studied or neutralized by the government. Apollyon. The CPs, which are labeled as Apollyon, are entities that cannot be contained, plain and simple. You can try to put them into containment, but they will inevitably break out or some similar catastrophe will follow. Take Kane, for example. He's far too powerful and massive for any chamber to bear without being destroyed. Apollyon beings are usually tied to world-ending threats, such as that visceral SCP-01 proposal, when day breaks, which boils every cretin outside into goo. These SCPs are obviously extremely dangerous and hostile to humanity, as the Foundation actively needs to contain them, but cannot. Archon. Archon class abominations are ones that theoretically can be contained, but the facility does not actively attempt to contain them. Archon CPs may be a part of a consensus reality that is difficult to contain fully, or it may be safer not to contain it. For example, when Keter is contained, wars around the world happen, not directly related to it. Therefore, it's best not to contain him. However, remember that these SCPs are not uncontainable. It's just that the Foundation chooses not to put the anomaly into containment. Crazy, right? Even the Foundation can keep their grubby hands away from entities to not hold them like damn trophies. Ticonderoga, an SCP with the class Ticonderoga, or however the hell you're supposed to say.
It's Ticonderoga, mate.
So, Ticonderoga is just a combination of Apollyon and Archon. It's just some doohickey that must both be impossible to contain and not needed to be contained. For example, Kane is an interdimensional time goblin wizard, about whom the Foundation is aware but cannot reach. But he is not doing anything which can threaten humanity, so there's no need to pursue him. Also a fun fact, Ticonderoga was explicitly created by the Classification Committee for SCP-4434. Get ready for your SCP pop quiz next week. Decommissioned. You'll never guess what this one means. Again, decommissioned class of SCPs means that those cretins were intentionally destroyed or had their properties removed by the SCP Foundation, mainly due to their danger, taking up way too much resource, generally being a pain in the ass, to keep it contained or not being worth studying anymore and keeping contained. So let's bully our boy Kane some more. If he was this class, that would mean he was such a threat, such a nuisance, that the SCP Foundation, the organization which refuses to eliminate hazardous creatures to study, decided to just game end him. So yeah, he has no box because he's gone. Hiemal, SCPs that are in the Hiemal class, are usually a pair of anomalies that keep each other in check by some means. Like a perfect pair who will explode if they aren't together. Due to this, it typically means that more advanced and difficult containment procedures are not required. Instead, containment must be achieved to prevent any effects from harming the public. That's like if Kane was contained by maintaining a delicate balance by keeping himself, and this roasted turkey in check by having abilities that can balance each other, preventing them from causing widespread damage and disruption. These anomalies don't always come in neat pairs too. There are cases in which involve entire ecosystems, rituals, or environmental patterns. So yeah, kids, Hiemal just means entities that need to be contained together or cancel each other's effects.